We can do that by force, okay?
Say, do you have a desire to force people to interact with you when they don't want to? And then wouldn't you like to act shocked when they don't want to answer a bazillion of your questions?
You don't answer questions?
And then when they don't answer your questions, wouldn't you like the power to be able to just make garbage up, pretending people are in trouble and that they've done something wrong when they really haven't?
Have you been smoking marijuana? I smell it very strongly in the vehicle.
Do you have a deep longing to intimidate people into getting with your program?
Why don't you go with the program here, and we'll get through this, okay?
As you're abusing and intimidating people, don't you want them to be empathetic, understanding you have a job to do? And don't you really want them to put themselves in your shoes?
So you gotta put yourself in my shoes, okay?
Don't you wish people would just shut up, roll over, and let you abuse, harass, and threaten them?
You're not allowing me to do my job.
Don't you want the latitude to pretend you were gonna be a nice guy, but because somebody didn't get with your tyrannical program, you decided to economically terrorize them? You know, like any good road pirate.
Alright, I was just gonna give you a warning tonight, but since you're being completely uncooperative, I'm gonna go ahead and cite you for the speed for going 80 in a 55 zone, okay?
And don't you want people to know that you're authorized by law to use force against anybody anytime they don't comply with your commands?
By law, we can remove you from the vehicle. We can order you from the vehicle. And if you refuse to do that, we can do that by force, okay?
We can do that by force, okay?
We can do that by force, okay?
If you said yes to any of these questions, then the law enforcement community needs you. Let's take a look at today's video from Long Beach, California.
Good evening.
Hey,
Let's go down any further.
is there a problem?
What's that?
Is there a problem?
I stopped you for your speed, sir. Can you roll down your window all the way for me here?
I'd rather not, actually.
I need to talk to you, sir. Do you have your driver's license on you?
I do.
Where are you headed tonight?
I actually don't answer questions.
What's that?
I don't answer questions.
What's that?
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions? I need your registration and insurance. Are you still on Lewis Street, apartment 106? Or are you not going to answer that?
No, I'm not there.
What's that? You smoking marijuana tonight?
The address that's on the ID card is where I live.
That is correct. Okay. Alright, have you been smoking marijuana? I smell it very strongly in the vehicle.
I don't answer questions.
What's that? You're not going to cooperate with me?
I just don't answer questions.
You just don't answer
Yeah,
questions.
that's it.
Okay. I'm a police officer and I'm asking you a lawful question.
Right.
Are you not going to cooperate with me? Is that how it's going to be?
Imagine a run-of-the-mill carjacker coming up to take your car or a thief approaching you to threaten you in some way. When you naturally don't want to assist them in their crime against you, imagine them getting all butthurt that you're not making their job of robbing you easy. And then them saying, "Is that how it's gonna be?"
I just choose not to answer questions. I'm not.
Okay. Alright,
I'm
why don't you
not,
turn off the vehicle and give me the keys?
I'm not trying to do anything.
Turn off the vehicle and give me the keys.
I'm not trying to be violent, sir.
Are you not going to cooperate?
I'm not trying to do anything wrong, sir.
What's that?
I'm not trying to do anything wrong. I didn't do
Okay.
anything wrong.
Then why don't you go with the program here, and we'll get through this, okay? I stopped you because you were speeding, alright?
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now I smell marijuana in the vehicle, and you're not answering questions, you're not cooperating. So you got to put yourself in my shoes, okay?
Right. Right.
You're not allowing me to do my job, okay?
Right. Okay.
I need you to turn off the vehicle and hand me the keys.
I actually can't do that.
You're not going to do that?
I can't.
Okay. Stay in your car.
Call me crazy, but is the request to turn off your vehicle and hand them the keys a lawful order? If it is, what's the law that states you have to do that?
Alright, sir. Got your camera going there? Alright, I was just going to give you a warning tonight, but since you're being completely uncooperative, I'm going to go ahead and cite you for the speed for going 80 in a 55 zone, okay? So I need you to sign for me in the red box here, okay?
I was going to be a nice guy and let you continue speeding on the roadways, putting lives in jeopardy, because it's all about public safety, right? But because you refuse to make my roadside piracy operation easy, and because you refuse to comply with my authority, I'm going to go ahead and economically terrorize you with a hefty traffic ticket and higher insurance rates. All because I got my widow feelings hurt.
I don't know if you did copy. Anything to drink tonight? Alcohol? No? Just the weed? Alright, so you should get something in mail for this, okay? But that doesn't always happen. So it's safest to call this phone number on the very bottom, which is Long Beach Court, and make sure it's taken care of.
May I get a copy of it?
What's that? Yeah, I'm going to pull this off right here.
Okay.
This yellow copy is yours. On the back are all your options. If you haven't gotten a moving violation in the last 18 months, you can ask for traffic school. And that way it doesn't go on your record or affect your insurance, okay? So that copy's for you. Here's your information back. And just so you're aware, by law, we can remove you from the vehicle. We can order you from the vehicle. And if you refuse to do that, we can do that by force, okay? Now, I'm not going to do that for you tonight, but you need to understand that is the law, okay? So if we wanted to, we could take you from the vehicle. And it's in your best interest to be cooperative with police officers, okay?
Right.
Just so you know, okay?
Yeah, I
You know how to
just
get back
had
from here?
Yeah, I can go back home.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, I was just confused about that. I thought you guys were like public officials.
We're police officers.
Yeah,
California Highway Patrol is who I work for.
Right.
Okay?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Have a
Thank
safe
you.
night.
You too.
As Washington said, government is not eloquence, it is not reason, it is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Authoritarians who only know the language of force, threats, violence, intimidation, coercion, and brutality are not here for our good. They're here to get inebriated on their own power and to steal our hard-earned income. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know.
Do you have a concealed weapons permit?
I don't need a concealed weapons permit to open carry while fishing, hunting, and camping.
Yeah, but you're not hunting.
I was on my going to and from such.
Your reel and everything is bone dry.
It's
so
not
I
bone dry.
don't believe you were fishing.
Yeah, you can feel it. It's not bone dry, but
It's bone dry.
it's not bone dry.
Well, I don't believe you're fishing because your lure is.
That's
You asked me a question. I got to answer you. Stop. You say you're fishing. The lure is bone dry. The line is bone dry. The reel's bone dry. So how are we fishing if it's bone dry?
You can tell me what crime I have committed.
Everything's dry, so you're committing a crime of open
not.
carry.
All right, I just watched the armed fisherman's video where the cop comes up to him and says, "Your pole is dry. You weren't fishing, therefore you're guilty of the crime of open carrying in the state of Florida."
We got a call that said you were standing over on the bridge, just standing there.
On the bridge, I was fishing. My fishing pole was in the water fishing. Yes, sir.
Don't feel wet.
It was wet.
Feels bone dry. Do you have your ID on you?
I don't.
Your reel and everything is bone dry.
It's
so
not
I
bone dry.
don't believe you were fishing.
Yeah, you can feel it. It's not bone dry, but
It's bone dry.
it's not bone dry.
What's your name?
Anyway, my name's Mike.
You say you're fishing. The lure is bone dry. The line is bone dry. The reel's bone dry. So how are we fishing if it's bone dry?
I'm being dead honest with you. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
What's your last name?
Once again,
What's your last name?
If you can tell me what crime I have committed, I will gladly give you all the information.
Well, right now everything's dry, so you're committing a crime of open carry.
Now everybody knows there's that statute because the armed fisherman has made us all aware of it, that you can open carry in the state of Florida as long as you're coming from or going to a fishing spot, camping spot, or hunting spot, or target practice from what I read online. And it's interesting to me that the badged authoritarian psychopath walks up to the armed fisherman knowing who he is. having admitted to watching the videos. Now, he doesn't admit to this till about, I don't know, 6 to 8 minutes into the interaction.
I've done this 40
why
plus times.
I
bro.
know. I've seen your videos.
Okay, so you know about me, and I'm not doing any. I would never do anything unlawful.
But this cop is coming up to Mike as though Mike did something wrong and is trying to make Mike insecure in his person by telling him to give me your name, give me your middle name, give me your last name, show me your ID. On what basis? What crime has been committed? And the cop contends the crime is you open carrying. Your line is bone dry. That's irrelevant. And Mike doesn't owe, or you or I, if we were in Florida and we had a fishing pole and we were fishing, the burden of proof is on the person who comes to you with the accusation. The accusation is you weren't fishing, therefore you don't fall in these guidelines. Therefore, according to my law, which by the way is repugnant to the Constitution, according to my law, you were breaking the Florida statute. You're not really fishing. Well, there's the accusation, you weren't really fishing. And the cop is trying to tell Mike, hey, you need to prove to me that you were fishing. No, that's not how it works, Ossifer. You got to prove that he wasn't. The burden of proof is on the guy who brings the accusation. You can't prove a negative. What do you want to do? Follow me to my fishing hole and all the people who may still be hanging around, get them to testify? Yeah, this guy did drop his line into the water. Who cares? You know, aside from all this, don't we have a constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms? It doesn't say how you can bear them. Oh, just make sure if you bear them, they're concealed so the public doesn't freak out. Or make sure it's not open carry because you're going to violate Florida state statute unless you're going hunting, fishing, or target practicing. I tell you, man, this video ran all over me. But the worst part to me about the whole video is not only did the cop call Mike rude.
No, because that's the call that got said. Come on.
I'm sorry.
You're really rude. You know that?
Well, right now
You're extremely
Okay.
rude. Because you ask questions and you don't even close your mouth to hear the answer.
heard that. I'm sorry.
The cop who's detaining a free man who wants to exercise his rights on American soil, who's being detained against his will, he's being rude, but the cop who's doing the detaining is not the rude one? You've got to be kidding me. But the coup de grace, the icing on the cake for me, was near the end of the video where the cop says, you mind if I walk you to your car because I don't want to receive any more calls. Hey, guess what, officer? You know what you should have done when you got that first call? Is you should have educated the 911 operator, or the non-emergency number, or whoever got the call, and tell them, hey, yeah, that's Mike. I've seen his videos. He means no, he's not committing a crime. He means no harm. He's got a YouTube channel called The Armed Fisherman, and he's perfectly within his rights according to California state statute or whatever. He can be doing that. Don't worry. We know who he is. And even if the cop said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and check on this thing. I know what's going on. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to be cool to Mike. That would have been fine. That's reasonable. Because, you know, getting a call with, you know, there's a guy walking around with an AR-15. Well, you know, people are already sensitized to AR-15's bad. People carrying AR-15s are psychos and they mean to do everybody harm. So I get a cop walking up. But if he already knew in his mind who Mike was, what Mike's about, what his YouTube channel is supposed to be promoting, fear's allayed. Fear, there's no fear in there. You know who the guy is. You know what he's about. You know he's got hundreds of YouTube videos out there doing this very thing. And you know if you walk up to him, you're going to be looking pretty bad. Well, guess what, officer? If you're watching this, you should feel really bad for yourself. Number one, because you took a freaking oath to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Part of that in the Constitution is the Bill of Rights. Part of the Bill of Rights is the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And you came up to Mike specifically intending to infringe on his Fourth Amendment and Second Amendment rights, and really, as far as I'm concerned, his First Amendment right to freedom of speech by detaining him. You don't detain somebody who's exercising their frickin' rights. They not only did they not do anything wrong, they're trying to sensitize their fellow Americans into doing right, into exercising their rights. But here's the icing on the cake for me. After this whole interaction, he said, hey, can I walk you to your car? And Mike's like, yeah, no problem, whatever. And now the cop starts playing nicey-nicey. What kind of fish you going to catch? Oh, yeah, how long does it have to be? What does it look like? Oh, I couldn't tell you if it was, you know, if that was the fish. All I know is it's got fins and flippers. Ha, 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 ha. And now he's trying to pretend like he's Mike's friend.
What were you trying to catch?
If you
Is it-
down here by the bridge, there's about 5,000, well, not 5, probably about a couple hundred mullet.
It's snook season on right now?
Yes, sir.
When does it end?
Today, I want to say September 1st, or 31st, one of the two.
It ends in September?
Well, it just closes until just all the way till December, January, February. I'm not
What's
100% on all.
What's
of
the
them.
length on the fish?
28 to 32.
Okay.
You ever caught any?
No, I don't even know what a snook
Yeah,
looks like.
Yeah.
You can show me a snook right now and I'll say it's a fish with flippers and gills.
Yeah, well, you know.
This guy is an enemy of the people, period. This guy doesn't, if he doesn't care about your rights, he doesn't care about your life. He came up with the implied threat of force, with state power, drunk on his own authority, coming up trying to make Mike insecure in his person and violate his rights as he's walking in his rights. You can't get more downright evil than that. So that's my take on this. And as far as the way Mike reacted, Mike, I love you, but I completely disagree with the way you went at it. You should have pled the fifth and say, hey, I have committed no crime. If you say I've committed a crime, give me at least reasonable articulable suspicion. Because everything that you see shows that I'm following Florida state statute. I'm going to or from my fishing hole, and I have the right, even under There's another video that I saw today, and I've never seen this guy before, and looks like he's pretty popular on YouTube. Has anybody heard of the YouTuber Stony Ridge Farmer? Stony Ridge Farmer. I thought this was interesting, and he looks like he has a pretty faithful following. He says, cops showed up to investigate veterans farm, heartbreaking disbelief. This is a guy who has his faith still in law and order. He still has his faith and belief in, the good folks in law enforcement and all that. But I wonder if, we can get through to him, because, the whole reason I even have a YouTube presence is so that we can expose tyranny and foster freedom. But the only way we can do that is to unite. That's the only way. I want to make this world a better place. This existence is so temporary, but while I'm here, I want to do the best I can to make the world as good of a place as it can be. Why? Because there's people in this world that I love. Even outside of family, there are people that I care about who also have family that I care about, and they're going to create more human beings on the earth, and we're going to leave, when we die, we're going to leave this earth in some kind of shape for our children and our grandchildren. I don't want my kids growing up in tyranny. I don't want in 50 years to, if I was able to look back in 50 years, I'm sure I'll be dead in 50 years, but I don't want to look back and go, oh my gosh, what could I have done to keep America from becoming North Korea? Because that's where we're headed, man. If we don't care about each other, then what's the point? Exactly, Jeff McNeely. Exactly. What is the point of trolling somebody? I understand, there's these troll channels, and I have freely admitted and will continue to freely admit that there's some pretty distasteful things that First Amendment auditors do that I think gives us a bad name. And when I say us, I'm talking about people who care about the First Amendment. For starters, what I like about First Amendment auditing is that they're sensitizing people to our actual unalienable rights. Do I think some of them take it to the extreme and they become like nuisances? They appear as though they're public nuisances, doing things to people. You have a freedom to do things, but it's probably not wise to use your freedom in every single situation. There's an application of knowledge called wisdom. And if we would just apply wisdom and put ourselves in other people's shoes, hey, maybe this person's having a bad day. Maybe they wouldn't like a camera. Yeah, I'm free in a public place, on a public sidewalk, or in a post office or whatever, to record whatever my eyes can see, and my eyes can't be trespassed. But maybe this person just lost their grandfather or grandmother or mother or father or son or daughter. Maybe, they're keeping it all bottled up inside and they're exploding on you, not because they're a Karen, but because they're an individual. So yeah, there's a lot of distasteful things that I see a lot of First Amendment auditors do that I wouldn't personally do. And yeah, they got the freedom to do it, but it's just borderline. It just makes it look like we're just a bunch of callous, non-sympathetic buffoons. And I can't stand that. On the other end of the scale, and you got the trolls just broad brush making fun of First Amendment auditors and actually applauding and welcoming tyranny onto American soil and actually calling for the arrest of people who literally have reached out their hand to hurt nobody, I'd see that as bad too. Why can't we have a happy medium where, yeah, we're exercising our rights, but man, if that person doesn't want to be recorded, hey, I won't record them. Now, I'm not saying that it's not good to record, especially when somebody's coming up to you and being violent and all that stuff. It's like, hey, they brought that on themselves. I was just recording the building, and then you put your face in my camera saying, why are you sticking your camera in my face? It's like, no, you got this all wrong. I'm a peaceful person, but honestly, you put your face in my camera. I wasn't looking to record you, but now you've made yourself a star, and it wasn't my fault. So I get that. And it's kind of a fine line. But man, some of the stuff, and I watch all kinds of stuff. I watch the trolls channels. I watch the really good breakdown channels like James Freeman and Lackluster, and how they just break it down to its simple, most fundamental. Hey, this. I love going back to basics. This is liberty. Don't harm anybody. Don't threaten to harm anybody. Don't damage people's stuff. It's never right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. Follow the golden rule. Do to others what you would want done to you. Conversely, don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. And then based on that springboard, that foundation, that pillar right there, that's where I'm going to make all my decisions, from that framework, through those lenses right there. And so I like to look at people who disagree with me because maybe I'm missing something. And if I'm missing something, part of life is to improve. Part of life is to realize, hey, I probably made a mistake here. I probably said the wrong thing there. I might have convoluted thinking here. I need to reassess and I need to reevaluate. And that's life. The reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So when I see people kind of struggling like this guy is, and I'm not by any means condemning this guy, because after I saw this video, I went in, you can see I subscribed, I hit the all button, so I've got all notifications turned on. I even left him a pretty lengthy, and I don't usually do this on other people's channels, but I left a pretty lengthy comment that probably nobody will ever see except you guys. If you want to go to his channel and thumbs it up, and maybe it can be seen by more people, and I'll read it here in a second, but this guy proves that he does everything right. I think he lives in North Carolina. And he did everything right. He was building this massive building. Here he's got it's cool drone shots too, by the way. This is his massive building right here. So he's building this building, and he's got to pull permits. He's got to pull a electrician's permit. He's got to pour the concrete. He's got a septic tank permit that he's got to do. He goes to the city and he tells everybody, here's how much I spent on this. This is what it's going to be used for. This is the location. These are the dimensions. So through the whole video, he's saying, hey, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I follow the rules. I pay my fair share. These are all things we've got to get out of our psyche, man. We've got to be thinking properly on this. And at the end of it, he basically says, what do you guys think? I mean, should we really be paying all these taxes? Do I really own my property if I have to ask somebody for permission to build a frickin' building on my property? And here's what he, well, you know what? I'm not going to do the video here. I'll do a separate video. If you guys want me to do a separate video on this, put a 1 in the room. This is from Stony Ridge Farmer. I like what he said. I'm going to read to you, and I'll probably do this in the next video too, but I'm going to read to you what I said, because he's talking about the tax and regulatory system and the law enforcement agencies who are going to come and actually enforce these frickin' laws. See, Politicians can make all the laws they want to, but if those laws don't have teeth, in other words, there aren't men with guns who voluntarily sign on the dotted line to enforce these laws, it's like a toothless lion. What are you going to do? You got no teeth, you got no claws. What are you going to do to me? I'll just, I'll take care of you in short order. But because you have teeth and claws and you know how to use them, I'm in jeopardy. Politicians' laws would have no teeth, they would have no claws if it wasn't for the law enforcement community. So who's worse? The people who write the laws to say, go get this guy and put this guy in prison for having done no crime, or the people who are actually grabbing the guy and putting him in prison? I contend that as bad as politicians are, they're not the ones putting their hands on people and actually trampling over their conscience to do bad to their fellow man. So he says, with the tax and regulatory system and the advent of the income tax, which interestingly, this is what I wrote to him. This is my post under his video, which interestingly came into being in the same year as the Federal Reserve. So the income tax came in 1913, Federal Reserve came in 1913. We need to stop lying to ourselves. This is no longer the land of the free, home of the brave. And was it ever? It's questionable. This is the land of the free and home of the slave. If you're not free to do whatever you want on your own property, as long as it's not harming others, then you're not free. The government is not here to serve and protect. They're here to harass and collect, and we see that. Stop talking to cops. No, I'm just kidding. Keep on talking to them. I'm sure everything will be just fine.
Driver, step out of the vehicle! Stay away from me! Step back! Step back!
My dog's gonna die!
Step back, go to your left! Get faster! Get on your knees!
My dog's about to die!
This is pretty interesting because the governor of New Mexico, Governor, I don't give a damn about your rights, Grisham, has made an emergency order that has effectively banned your right to carry a firearm in Bernalillo County and Albuquerque specifically, which means she effectively, in writing, criminalized every gun owner who wants to carry, conceal or open, it doesn't matter, criminalize them and exact a penalty on them by the state police if they dare to exercise their rights. So this is from Bernalillo County. And this is just a little bit of background before I play this. This is a family whose dog got, run over or something in the street, and the entire family got into the family vehicle with the dog to rush their dog to the hospital to save its life. And here comes Bernalillo County's finest. And if I get the names of the officers, I'm kind of watching this. I watched at it the first time, but now I'm intently watching it with you guys. So let's get some reaction here.
A family rushing to try and save their dog's life stopped and held at gunpoint by the cops. KRQE investigative reporter Gabrielle Burkhardt obtained the police videos from a traffic stop that still has a family in disbelief. Did Bernalillo police officers take things too far? Have a look.
It was a neighborhood cat that lured Stella the Labradoodle into traffic in July.
I was like, oh my God, our dog just got hit.
The Albrecht family jumped into action.
We jumped in the car and started trying to get to the ER as fast as we could to try to save her life.
William Albrecht headed down 550 through Bernalillo from their Rio Rancho home toward the...
Let me give you a quick warning here. If you are a dog lover, if you're an animal lover, this is going to infuriate you. Now, it is not my intent when I make videos to infuriate you, but I do want honest reactions and honest responses. You let me know what you think about a cop interfering with the family's desire to save their pet.
Nearest 24-hour emergency vet. He spots a Bernalillo police cruiser.
So I imagined if he was going to pull me over for speeding, I'd pull over, he'd say something to me, and then maybe even help us get there. I've heard of stories like that before.
You've assumed wrong. That is assuming a lot of good on cops.
But that didn't happen.
Driver, step out of the vehicle!
This is what did happen.
Get away from me!
Lapel video shows Officer Jeremy Navarez put Albrecht at gunpoint, or...
Jeremy Navarez. I'm going to write this down. We're going to go back over it. It's important that Jeremy Navarez gets called out because maybe there needs to be some phone calls on Jeremy Navarez. I wish I could read his tattoo here, because usually it's like to protect and serve, or give me liberty or give me death, while they're giving people death.
Ordering him out of the car.
Step back! Step back!
Realizing what's happening,
My dog's gonna die.
Albrecht's wife starts recording on her cell phone.
Roll the window down, Amy. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this. Like, why didn't someone just come check with us, find out what the reason our speeding was, and help us?
She and her son watch in disbelief.
Step back, go to your left!
As Navarez directs Albrecht into traffic. Backup arrives, but they continue with a felony stop.
But this is all for your safety. So Jeremy Navarez, from the very beginning, listen to how fast this guy, this family man with this dog who's on the brink of death, pulls over. I think it's like 30-something seconds he pulls over. And yet the response of Navarez is to threaten him with deadly force for having done nothing?
Get on your knees!
Guns drawn. His wife and 16-year-old son now at gunpoint.
My dog's about to die.
The
Albrecht
entire family at gunpoint. And people like to go, oh, that's, there's racism going, it's institutionalized. This is white cops terrorizing, psychologically and physically tormenting a white family at gunpoint. Lethal force for what? For what? Was there a call that these guys robbed a bank? Was there a call that they're fleeing a situation where they were mass shooters? No. He's just going over the speed limit. And now this guy's, my dog's about to die, and every family member is at gunpoint. Now, the lives of each and every member of this family hangs in the balance. For what, Navarez?
is handcuffed.
My dog's about to die.
I saw my son was sticking his hands out the window too, like, dude, our dog's gonna die.
Okay, come to me, dog's gonna die.
And none of them seemed to even care at the moment at all.
Please. My name.
Look, let me get my mug out of the way. Look at the kid here. What would you say? And a lot of people are like, dude, you just let the video play. I can't, because if under fair use, you have to make commentary, and I think it's very important to comment on this. Do you have sons and daughters? I do. If I saw my son in this position, knowing that he's an innocent man, knowing that all he wants right now at this very moment is to save his dog's life, and that's all I want. And we've already expressed that. There's no indication that the family in this vehicle are criminals. No indication at all. There's no reasonable articulable suspicion. There's no probable cause that a crime has been committed. Nothing. Navarez is way out on a tyrannical limb here.
Look at my dog. That's my son and my
Stand up.
wife. Please, sir, my dog's about to die.
He's taken to the back of a patrol car.
Sir, my dog's bleeding out of mouth. Okay.
Albrecht's wife tries to explain.
She's going to die. She got hit by a car. Look at his face, sir. Look, she's bleeding. Look at my dog. My dog is bleeding out of the face.
Oh my gosh.
And they're holding us on the side of the road.
Oh my my gosh.
The officer
Oh
who
my,
pulled them
I can't even.
Oh man.
Gotta hold it back, man. Gotta hold it back. This is just like a flood of emotions. Looking at that dog's face, looking at how desperate this family is, looking at the tyranny that's being exacted on them by people who swore to protect and your dog. I've got a dog. I'm a dog lover. That's not their response. There's no empathy at all. None. There's no giving this family a chance. There's no, hey, I'm going to use my authority on my position. We're going to give you an escort to the vet. I have a dog. I have cats. I'm an animal lover myself. Let's go. No, none of that. None of that. Why? As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. Listen to the crap that they say about this family.
wrote in his report that Albrecht was speeding and driving recklessly, but he wasn't given a citation, and there's no video of a pursuit. That first officer also never walked up to the family's car to check on the dog or ask why they were speeding.
Yeah, of course not, because they're not interested in true investigation. Now, they'll get you for obstruction of their investigation, but they keep it all just super vague so they can get you on something. But when it comes to actually, hey, let's investigate to see if the claim of the father, the claim of the son, and the claim of the mom, which is all the same thing, our dog is about to die, rushing into the vet, please help us. Let's go investigate and see if this is true. Let's see if there's a dog who really needs some help. Didn't even do that. What kind of investigation is that? It is zero investigation.
Officer Navarez's report says he drew his firearm and pointed it towards the immediate threat.
That's
writing
right.
the driver looked mad with his hands clenched in the air. The officer's video shows otherwise.
So he lied. Navarez, Officer Navarez, Jeremy Navarez, I didn't get the badge number. Maybe we can find it out. Lied on a report. That should, at the very minimum, he should get fired for that. Will he?
Step out of the vehicle!
The second I saw my guns to my son's head,
God.
like I really felt like when I got out of the car, like this dude might shoot me if I make the wrong move.
I can't go, man.
Christ, man.
Another officer convinced Navarez to let the family go.
Let me get out of here. Record fire units, go ahead and downgrade.
The cuffs come off.
You're something else.
You're something else, sir.
Albrecht, the father, says, man, you were something else, pulling your guns on innocent people. No, you're something else. What? That is psychopathic to the nth degree.
Their dog Stella didn't make it.
It's horrible. Like, she was such a great dog.
I wonder if Stella would have made it. I wonder if these cops didn't intervene or saw what was going on and gave them an escort to the vet like a public servant would do. I wonder if Stella would still be here.
So how did speeding turn into a felony stop?
Yeah,
The
how?
family had no weapons or warrants.
I can't believe you pulled your gun on my kids, sir.
Policy.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Pulling my gun on your kid and your entire family and jeopardizing your lives, that's policy.
He asked for a copy of that policy and the use of force policies from Bernalillo police, but those policies don't explain what happened here. BPD's policy does call for de-escalation, saying the level of force employed must be commensurate with the threat posed by the subject and the seriousness of the situation. Officer Navarez claims Albrecht didn't immediately pull over, which he disputes.
As soon as I noticed the lights, I pulled over.
Listen.
Red, escalate 550 now. Maybe I'll stop it. Oh, now it's stopping.
For confirming the vehicle stopping.
33 seconds after his first call to dispatch, he
33. It had to be 33 seconds. But I don't want to digress. He pulled over in a very short period of time. There's no eluding police. There's no speeding up to get away. It took 33 seconds to find a safe spot and pull over. That sounds reasonable to me. And yet the guy, Navarez, pulls his firearm on an innocent man.
He says they're stopped.
No one came at him. No one threatened him. And again, like, what did he see that scared him so bad? I mean, this guy was angry.
The Albrecht saw just how angry watching the officer's recording.
Listen. F that D-head. Says it again. F that D-head. Let's see. Is it both or both of them? Let's see.
Watching the officer's recording.
Navarez. F that D-head. F him. Effing biatch.
Are you kidding me?
So he's gonna complain.
They also heard Officer Navarez's explanation.
Well, yeah, so I did a felony stop on him because he wasn't stopping when he stopped.
He wasn't stopping. It took him, Sarge, you're not going to believe this. It took him 30-something seconds to stop. What's the problem with that? That sounds like a reasonable amount of time to look for some place safe to pull over. You nitwit.
Once we found out his dog was injured, and they was trying to get to the veterinarian, we tried the idea and let him go. He's being
That guy shouldn't be a cop.
What was going through your head?
Just scared. Just calling my dad names and stuff. It's not right. Shouldn't be a police officer.
We called Bernalillo police to ask if they're investigating the stop.